Hello, welcome to the 1 to 11 podcast. This is Northamptonshire, UK's premier squad building podcast. This is hosted by myself, Paul, with my brother John.
Hello.
We came up with this as an idea during the 2020 coronavirus pandemic lockdown. I say the 2020 because I'm hoping 2024 you'll listen to this and go, what an innocent time. What a time! Could you remember that?
Just searching iTunes for. I wonder who the best Netherlands 11 was.
I don't know about you, but for this long car trip, I need to know who were the most underrated England players going.
Yeah.
So me and John used to.
Shut up, love. I need to know who his forward line for the Champ 11 is.
Yeah.
No,
but you mainly didn't pick John Zola Makula.
It's an idea we've had for a while, isn't it? But we've just been finding the time, and time is a commodity we all have a lot of. I'm not say all. Some of us have a lot of at the moment, and I think we're both lucky enough to still be working, but in our spare time we thought let's make this happen. So because we also do an American football podcast as well, much more successful American football podcast.
It currently has 150 times the listeners that this does. Thank you, Scott. This was something that me and John, we used to do on long car journeys. We used to go and see Leeds United in the South Stand. We used to go and see various football grounds around the country. We've always had this kind of love of football that we've kind of lived on. And I think for us, it was one of the key things about this. We're not saying whatever subject we choose, this is the definitive 11. This is our choice. If you feel differently, get in touch. If you feel differently, talk to us. We are available on most social media platforms, or we will be in 2024 when you listen to this. I'm very interested in seeing what other people think, and we've done some of the other ones we've spoken about when we've been joking there, but today is one where I'm interested to see the direction we go, because we came up with some ideas of some squads we wanted to build, and the idea being that going from goalkeeper to forward line on a subject who we feel, based on our knowledge of football and what resonated with us, we would put as the top team for that based on our view, not the top team.
No, it's a personal preference.
Absolutely. So within that, this is one that we had on the chart we wrote down, that's Excel we created together, which was just Bastards.
Bastards, yeah. Yeah.
The Sean Bean inspired episode.
Yeah. And basically, that's all we wrote. We just wrote Bastards. And it's going to be interesting because we don't discuss this beforehand. I mean, for anyone watching this on YouTube as well, apologies. I'm struggling really badly with hay fever at the moment. I look atrocious. It's how we're going to interpret that one-word title, because, in fact, I'm going to say it now. I've taken it as a lovable rogue, as the purveyor of the dark arts, but you sort of there's a begrudging acceptance that that's all right. That's just because that's just what they do, rather than someone who's going to be off the field also a bastard. So mine's. I think mine. I've taken it as pantomime villain.
I've taken mine as just aggression, an aggressive player. Just one of those players who has the ability to be a very good player, played at a high level, but would just lose their head.
Yeah, so that's fair enough, because it was a very loose theme, this, and because
Also,
of that,
one of the ones we were most excited about.
Yeah, because I think we don't. I don't think either of us are very much into stan culture.
Quite.
And I think there's quite a lot of stan culture quite now for people who win a lot. And I find that really
Did you
cool
know Virgil van Dijk is the best defender of all time, John?
Yeah. You know, it's not that we're not saying Van Dijk is brilliant, that Messi, Ronaldo, etc. You know, but yeah, I find it cool. So even if they're in the team, they're in the team because of an undefinable quality, maybe, rather than because X is the best player in the world and he scored 91 goals in one calendar year. And what so yeah. So this is going to be one where we're going to have 2 11s.
Almost, yeah. I think we need to decide the way we go, and I think we see what teams we come out with, because I think the interesting thing with this is we're going to agree on some elements. I think there's some elements we're not, and I think we'll go for it, because just to tell you my formation straight away, because I thought aggression. What's more aggressive than the old English 4-4-2? You can't have an aggressive 4-2-3-1.
I've gone 3-5-2.
Well, that's fine. That's your old. It's your old-fashioned way, and I was very close to going to a 3-5-2, till I found I thumbed in a right back, but my left back is wonderful for aggression.
Okay. Sold. Well, let's start as we always do. Let's start in goal.
So, I'd like to give an honourable mention to someone first. Just if I'm going with the theme of aggression, I wrote Harold Schumacher.
Yep. I watched that the other day, and
it's just
the
one moment
of it. It's horrible. I mean, I can't judge the rest of his career, but as a moment, it's horrific.
He cracked a man's ribs. He cracked 3 of a man's ribs and knocked out 2 of his teeth by just literally the highest running knee you've ever seen.
It was WWE style assault. Actually, no, because it was UFC style assault, because it was real.
And I think, just for some of the things you see, just straight from his Wikipedia page. A French newspaper poll asked which was the least popular man in France, and Schumacher beat Adolf Hitler into second.
Yeah. He was his best man at his wedding, though. Schumacher was Batiston's best man. Which, whatever. But yeah, no, fair enough. But yeah, we can put him. You could put him in for just that egregious act.
But I think we go on. One of the key things we've always said on this is people can differ, but it's based on our time in football, and that happened 5 years before I was born, a year before you were born.
Yeah, and that's it. Otherwise you'd end up with like Goycochea and Gentile, and these players that.
René Higuita.
Well, I saw René Higuita, but
I remember seeing the Scorpion kick at Wembley in '95, and the person I went for a goal. The reason I went for them was because they were niggly. They were one of those players that he did stuff to annoy you and get in your head. And my goalkeeper is Jens Lehmann.
I've got Jens Lehmann. Just because, as I say, I'm going down a different route, but I'm going down pantomime villain. And put Jens Lehmann in front of Didier Drogba, and he becomes the ultimate pantomime villain. And they both do. They're both just laughable. And yeah, I one of my favorite things about Jens was the 2008 World Cup.
2006 World Cup.
2006 World Cup.
Was this the penalty shootout?
The penalty shootout with Argentina, where he faked out. I can't remember who it was.
He kind of faked out most of the team because it made it look like he had instructions on a water bottle.
He had instructions, but he didn't have the instructions for the guy taking the final penalty. And he, so he'd written them all on his water bottle, Riquelme to the right, Crespo to the left, etc. And but yeah, he sat there reading the final penalty as if he knew what was going to happen. That's it. Well, Roberto. Oh no, it wasn't Ayala. Whoever it was, but yeah, I love him. And yeah, the scenes against Tottenham where he almost cost Arsenal their unbeaten record because he just for some reason wanted to have a fight with Robbie Keane.
I think also it's other things as well. Arsenal have this wonderful European season where they beat some really great teams on the way, and they come across the Rijkaard Barcelona, and Arsenal could have won that game, but Lehmann got sent off after 12 minutes. You're like, come on.
Yeah,
and he was in imperious form in the semis, from what I remember, against Villarreal.
He was brilliant. The thing is, because he's a clown, people forget, he's a really good goalkeeper.
I think he goes in the way of, for me, I'm not. You don't see many aggressive goalkeepers because it's one of those positions where if you act aggressively once, you're gone.
Yeah.
So he was one of these people who he made life difficult for people, and he didn't need to, and I like that. And also, so I think he kind of... I'm going to announce it on the podcast now, John. Jens Lehmann goes both ways. Of our squad building challenge.
Yeah. Any other notable mentions? I had Rustu. Just because he was mental. Also, he's got over coronavirus, which is pretty cool. I
like Rushdi because he's one of the best keepers in the world. He moves to Barca and he just lost it.
Yeah.
Jens Lehmann, unanimous choice. Excellent. So you're playing a different formation to me, but this is the next one I'm going to go with is I think you're going to have him as well. So thumbing it in up to the knuckle, right back. Sergio Ramos.
I've got Sergio Ramos as a centre back. Yeah. Because if you don't have him, then quite clearly, what are you doing?
He's a player who has this kind of who could be this mercurial brilliance, but just can be a total knob.
Yeah.
He's got this, his goal scoring record as a centre back, as a right back. For this, let's say right back.
Well, he originally started as a right back, didn't he? That's where they bought him.
Sevilla, yeah, and they brought him in as a right back at Real, didn't they? His goal scoring record is phenomenal. He's just one of those players who's very supremely talented, but just prone to being an arse.
Thing is, a lot of the time, when he's being an arse, it's almost because he chooses to be. That's the thing with him.
Like Jens Lehmann. But yeah, Ramos gets red carded.
And isn't he the most sent off man in Europe?
Yes, he's not the most sent off man in world football. That's Bedoya.
Yeah.
Bedoya has 46 career red cards. Ramos has 20.
I think he's beyond that now, isn't he?
I looked at it earlier and I saw 20. I think once again, he goes both ways.
Yeah.
So we're agreed Sergio Ramos is a unanimous choice dependent of position.
Yeah. I think we can almost have two two 11s here, but there are going to be people who fit into both.
People who are just unanimous bastards.
So do you want to go for your left back? Because
yeah, so the left back I chose was based on a couple of things. So it's just for me, I saw like a bastard, someone who's aggressive, and just for me, nothing's more aggressive than a 96-mile-an-hour penalty, a shaved head, a angry look on your face all the time, and this look that as soon as the game's finished, he's up the pub in a pair of DMs looking to kick your face in. I've gone for Julian Dix at left back.
I would never have thought of him, but yeah. I just think is as well, like he's not in. I'm sure there'll be people in our teams who come across as dicks, whereas he doesn't. He could have been. You could have easily set him in the stands, but he could play, and he wasn't. He wasn't.
You don't move to Liverpool in the early 90s if you're a bad player.
No, and he was. Aggressive is the right thing. I think. So yeah, no, fair enough. Wonderful penalty striker.
Set piece player.
Yeah.
It's kind of the British
Mihajlovic.
He's the British Anisa Mihajlovic.
Just without the racism.
He's the Dagenham Mihajlovic. I'd like to hear your other centre back.
I've got
two more, haven't you?
I've got two more. So should we go through our other centre backs now? I am. So I have two other centre backs. One, a teammate of Ramos.
I know who it is already, and it's a solid choice.
The other played in the Premier League at one point. But his most notable thing was at the 2006 World Cup, where the final revolved around him.
Yes. I see you know your insults well. Mr. Materazzi.
Marco Materazzi. And
how could I forget Marco Materazzi? With the birth of YouTube, one of the first things we shared with each other was a 5-minute video of Materazzi killing people on the pitch.
Yeah. Oh, he was brilliant.
It was the video of how he managed to fall over, and while falling over, kick Shevchenko on the top of his head.
He also at one point
kicked Shevchenko as hard as he could in the bollocks.
Balls. And it's not even like he was being suspicious about it. He wasn't hiding it. He just ran up to him and kicked him in the balls.
Well, you see, there's that clip, isn't there, where you see these players. There's one guy shielding it at the corner, and all these players getting to him. You see Materazzi just run into footing, destroying the bloke.
I'm on statbunker.com. I've no idea how legitimate.
I found myself on statbunker.com earlier.
I'm not quite sure how legitimate these stats are, but I can't. How many? What do you reckon they've got down for Materazzi red cards?
Do you know? I do not know.
They've got 4, which I don't believe.
That doesn't feel right.
I remember. I know he's got 1 for Everton at least. But yeah, it seems more. So, but yeah, just. Once again, there was something quite likable about him.
Yeah, it's the fact that he was like, it's like that reassuringly. There's that the Stella Artois thing. I can't remember, like reassuringly expensive or something like that.
Yeah, he was he was just a lovable vogue.
He was just reassuringly predictable in how aggressive he would be and how just he would. That I've mentioned this before on the podcast for someone else, but there's that scene in The Simpsons where Homer is on his desk at the power plant, and they're all standing by at the window. Watch, he's going to do something stupid.
Yeah.
When I knew Materazzi was on the pitch, there was all this. Wait for it. He's going to do something stupid. Marco Materazzi's a great shout. Absolutely great shout, and I'm offended with myself. I forgot him, and for that section, John, I'd like to make out that I'm taking the piss for
nice
Materazzi.
But yeah, had a brief stint in the Premier League with Everton, where he was too rambunctious for the league, but yeah, Inter sort of found his groove as
the shithouse to Cannavaro's brilliance.
Yeah, yeah. But I guess almost in a way at the time Mourinho's henchman.
I think he's a great shout. So I'm guessing obviously the other one you've gone for is Pepe.
Pepe, yeah. Just because, what a dick.
Yeah, just he always seems to be one of these people who. Don't get me wrong, I feel he's a very talented defender, but I always get whenever I see him on the pitch, he's always got this look of like, wait a minute, am I playing football?
Yeah.
What?
Just for someone who played, Porto before, played Real Madrid,
won the European Championships.
Yeah. For someone who did all that, I never thought he was very good.
You look at that. If there was a International Football Hall of Fame, that's a man whose career would probably get him there on accomplishments.
Yeah.
He's won a major trophy internationally. He's won the Champions League enough times to kill a man. He was part of the Villas-Boas Porto, wasn't he, as well? Just in case anybody's wondering, this is a water jug I found that makes it sound like I'm peeing, and I thought it'd be great for just a comedy piece.
I think didn't he leave Madrid just before they started winning all the Champions Leagues? Oh no, he's 2017. So he won it in 2016 and 2017. Okay, yeah, he's probably in that's a Hall of Fame career if there was such a thing. But
I think, yeah, bastard.
Pantomime villain.
Just from his Wikipedia page. He's also drawn criticism in the media due to his tendency to pick up cards, as he's shown often violent or unsportsmanlike behaviour, which includes diving regularly on the pitch.
Yeah, and that's something else as well. A defender who dives, I love.
I completely agree. I think he's the other thing I will. Well, this is where we go in different directions if we're looking at squads here. So I've gone for two people and one name. Straight away, I want to see your face when I say it. I'm going to pick him first. Kevin Muscat.
Yeah. Because I went down a different route, I couldn't pick Kevin Muscat because he's a rogue, but he's not lovable at all. He's a horrible bastard.
So what I'd like you to do, John, is I'd like you to go on your phone.
Okay.
Or internet-enabled device that you have near you.
Yeah.
I'd like you to just put in Kevin Muscat and tell me the first suggestion that goes in.
Red cards.
I have tackle.
I've got him, Kevin Muscat red cards, and Kevin Muscat Adrian Zara. I'm assuming that is a very horrible. Yeah, that's a horrible red card he got this season.
So I'd also like to let you know the first image that comes up for the benefit of people on YouTube.
That is the Adrian Zaha red card.
Yeah, just oh God, the man falls on his head. Kevin Muscat, when he was playing for Millwall, just a horrible, horrible player. Aggressive, and just for me, if you were to think of, think of someone as a bastard on the pitch, Kevin Muscat was that. Peter Crouch talks about him on his podcast and said, that he was the one man he truly feared.
Yeah.
Because when he said he was going to break your legs, you felt like he was going to break your legs.
There was someone else I thought of, and Sheffield United player,
Chris Morgan, just purely for what he did to Ian Hume's skull.
That's it. Yeah.
So there are some other honourable mentions here. So the other player I have was Paulo Montero.
Yes, I remember Paulo Montero.
The red card magnet, Paulo Montero.
It's the worst combination at the time. He was a Uruguayan defender playing in the top level 90s Italy. And yeah, a cynical man. I also the current times, Chiellini
can be right cynical.
He's very cynical. He's also class. Like,
I think for me, he's an old school defender because he sees it as not wanting you to get past him, and if that means siving you down and getting a red card in the 85th, no problem.
Yeah,
you didn't get past me.
He's but also once again, he's not afraid of the dark arts. But I just Pepe and Ramos speak for themselves, and Materazzi unleash those dark arts on the highest level possible in the World Cup final.
Yeah, he used dark arts to get rid of the most talented, naturally gifted football player of all time in his last ever match.
Yeah. Love him. So yeah, that's my defence. Your back four is
Ramos, Montero, Muscat, and Dix.
But yeah, I mean, none of them are last in the game. But
no,
if they do, you ain't conceding.
Yeah. I'm keeping the NHS afloat with that defence.
Yes.
If they were playing in the MLS, I'm funding a pharmaceutical company for a year.
There you go. Ryan Giggs described Paulo Montero and Ciro Ferrara as the toughest defenders he could ever play against.
Because they were just knobs.
Paulo Montero holds the record for most red cards received in Serie A history. Sent off 16 times.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
And that's for a man. That's a man not playing in his natural country's league.
Yeah.
So that's a man who was only at Juventus for a finite amount of time.
Ahead of everyone else. The next person has 12.
Well, I think that's why he had to be in for me. So let's go with two separate teams. I've got that back four. Who's your back three then? So you've got Ramos, Pepe, and Materazzi. Which, layman, Ramos, Pepe, Materazzi. You've got kind of in 2009. You've got an amazing little team there.
That's a spicy meatball. It'd be. And all I'm going to say is my defence would be a lot of fun.
My defence would not last long.
No.
So for the midfield, you went for 5, I went for 4. There are no wingers who fall into my view of bastard, so I have not picked a single winger. I've gone for a flooded centre midfield of bastard.
I kind of like this. So, okay, do you want to take us through? Is there sort of a holding, or they all sort of holding, or?
So the first one I've gone for is a very talented player. And I think if we go to about 2008, 2009, I genuinely feel was one of the best players in world football. Steven Gerrard.
Oh, yeah.
But the Steven Gerrard I want you to think about is 2001, 2002 Steven Gerrard, where he could score screamers from long distance. He could do these raking crossfield passes, these amazing, insightful through balls, and these disgusting two-footed tackles.
Yes.
Jumping two-foot tackles.
That is, I forgot about that. Because there was a point when basically the only two-footed player in England at the time was Steven Gerrard when he tackled.
And I think this is also a man who got sent off 45 seconds after coming into the Man United-Liverpool derby match.
Yeah. As well, he had the court case as well
for an alleged assault.
Yeah, where the bloke, he wouldn't let him DJ or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. So for me, he's someone who. Also, if you wanted to play him out wide, you could.
Yeah.
You could play him on the right or left, or centre mid, attacking mid, defensive mid. He's a versatile midfielder, so I've put him in midfield. He'll do any job I ask him to do, John.
Yeah, fair enough.
But he might get me the occasional red card, and also, in his private life, allegedly, a bit of a bastard. So I'm putting Steven Gerrard in. Would you like me to go through my other ones? Then you can go through your own, because we may mix and match.
Okay, yeah. So go on, tell me some more of yours, because I've only got two centre mids in a way. The others are fond.
So I'm going to go with two people who are intrinsically linked in the history of the Premier League.
Oh.
And I think they fit into bastard. The first one, for those who listen to us and are slightly younger than us, Erling Haaland's father, Alfie Inge Haaland.
Oh yeah.
He's not the person I'm choosing as a bastard, but he's part of this story. Alfie Inge Haaland played for Leeds United and played for Manchester City. He had his career ruined by Roy Keane.
Yeah.
And for a man who basically went onto the pitch with the intention to destroy Alfie Inge Haaland.
Yeah, it all stemmed from a tackle 3 or 4 years earlier, didn't it? When he played for Leeds.
Where Keane did something to his knee in the challenge, wasn't it?
And when he was down, Alfie Inge Haaland was shouting at him. You know, he played a full throttle, did Alfie. But yes,
Roy Keane is just aggression. He's someone who was going to get you red cards, and the semi-final of the '99 Champions League. Got booked, couldn't play in the final in '99. Played probably the best game of his career.
Yeah. I've mentioned in the first leg that Zidane and Davids had one of the best sort of midfield displays I've seen in my football watching career. But in the second leg, Roy Keane on his own. It's like when Ballack is yellow carded and can't play in the final in 2002, and just drags the team on his back into that final, knowing he can't take part.
I think Roy Keane, for me, had to be in this team. If you were doing a team of bastards, he's someone who was aggressive, argumentative, was going to get you red cards, but got you results.
Yeah. I can't argue with that. No, but yeah.
So the person I say is there's someone who's kind of intrinsically linked with him in the history of the Premier League, and that's Paddy Vieira. Patrick Vieira, who he always looked angry on the pitch. You're just this monster of a man with unlimited stamina, covered in Vicks, running at you at full speed.
Yeah, a wonderful player.
Fantastic player, but someone who played the game aggressively.
Yes.
And a red card magnet, a red card machine, and played aggressively, tackled aggressively. And I've got, a Gerrard, Keane, Vieira midfield. And I've also got one final bastard to slot in. And the final bastard I'm slotting in is someone who could all kind of fund in on the wing as well. Gennaro Gattuso.
Yes. I love... There you go. He's not made my team, but he was...
strong contender.
Strong contender. Because...
I just remember him arguing with an old man Joe Jordan.
He throttled Joe Jordan, 70-year-old Joe Jordan.
An old Scottish man on the sideline. I think also you see all the things that made the AC Milan team of the mid-2000s wonderful. That Ancelotti ran machine at Milan, which, fair enough to Liverpool. They won the 2005. They should never have won that game. But Gattuso was just he was just an aggressive linchpin of that team. And for me, if you're looking at a bastard, Gennaro Gattuso is a bastard. He manages like a bastard as well.
Yeah, no, I can't argue with them. They are 4 choice bastards. And also, if anyone's offended by the word bastard, apologies. You're now half an hour in. I assume you've already turned off.
Yeah, if you're offended by the word bastard, you're watching an episode themed bastards. You should have. The disclosure is far too late.
Yeah, but okay. I like that midfield. That is tough. Basically, I don't think you're ever going to score many goals.
Gerrard could score goals.
Gerrard could, yeah. Gerrard would score you 20 goals a season, really. But you aren't going to concede any anyway. You could win the league. You could win the league with 38 wins and conceding no goals and scoring 38 goals.
Yeah. 1-0 to the bastards.
Okay, I've got 2 holding midfielders.
Okay.
My first one, for anyone watching on YouTube, if I do this, who do you think of? I hold my hand over my eyes and I take a peek to see what the referee's looking at. Sergio Busquets.
Oh God, do you know what? I didn't realise how much I hated that man.
I knew it was one of your buttons.
A lot of my Facebook memories is based on, it seems nearly every month I will have a Facebook memory which is me announcing how much I hate Sergio Busquets. He's someone who is anti-football, and I didn't realise how much he was anti-football until I watched England v Spain at Wembley. And that was an incredibly frustrating experience. I had great company. I had a really great time the game before the game, had a couple of drinks, had a pizza. I remember the pizza as well. Lovely pizza. Lampard scored just before or after half time whilst I was peeing. And we didn't do much else other than...
I remember that game. It was attritional.
And Sergio Busquets was just horrible in midfield. Anytime somebody went near him, he fell down. And
that's it. That's why I like him. He's the it's the dark arts. He died, but the thing is, he is a wonderful player.
He's a metronome, isn't he?
Barcelona have got weaker in the last few years, and I don't think it's because Neymar's gone and whatever. I believe it's purely due to Busquets. He's become less effective, and whereas Iniesta and Xavi were wonderful, I think the system depends so much on him.
To show you how wonderful he was. That's a team that lost Yaya Toure, and it didn't. A team that lost Yaya Toure, and they got better.
Yeah. They had so many other wonderful midfielders that no one could ever take his place. I mean,
Arthur or something like that, I don't think they'll do it.
Well, they're there to replace Xavi and Iniesta, and they're wonderful. And you've got Rakitic, you've got these great players who have come in and aren't as good. But
where's the bastard?
What they will do when Busquets goes, I have no idea.
Well, isn't there his younger brother in the B team, Oriol Busquets?
Oh, really?
Who also is a defensive mid.
Well,
I'll just see if they're related.
But yeah. Also, let's not kid. I mean, who has a better trophy cabinet than Sergio Busquets?
Oh, Oriol Busquets is not related to Sergio Busquets.
Oh. There you go. Well, there you go. Who knows what they're going to have to do to replace him? Because if you've got like Vidal, who can't do it, he's born in that system. Wonderful player, but I also just love the theatrics he brings. Because
being a Man United fan in 2000, but being a Man United fan generally is a bit of a roller coaster sometimes. When we were getting torn apart by I genuinely believe the best football team of all time.
Yeah.
I can't put into words how much I hated Sergio Busquets.
Yeah.
Joe, I think that's a good shout. I couldn't put him in the team because I got to a point where I despise him.
Yeah. But doesn't that make him a bastard?
No.
Yeah. Alongside him, I've got someone who, once again, not averse to the dark arts as a player, as a manager, as well, has brought that in to the team he has brought. Well, he's won the league.
Is this Diego Simeone?
It is Diego Simeone.
Sure, good shout. And you're very Spanish influenced. It's almost like the Spanish, the Spanish league and the Spanish language countries are full of bastards. Is what you're saying, John?
there is a Latin temperament that lends itself to lovable rogues.
Yeah, it's interesting. You've gone for the Latin fiery temper. I've gone for the northern shithouse.
Yeah, I mean, I'm representing
and Paddy Vieira.
I'm representing my Spain team today, in a slightly too tight t-shirt.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, of course, it came to most English people's attention due to World Cup '98.
Acting like he got shot when Beckham put a leg out.
Yeah.
But doing his job.
Exactly. But a really, really effective defensive midfielder. You don't play for Atletico Madrid. He went to Inter for 2 years, where he played for the brilliant Lazio team before then heading back to Madrid for 3 more years. And a
nasty piece of work.
Oh yeah, he was tenacious. Is the polite way of putting it?
No, I think the easiest way to put it, bastard.
Yeah. I mean, as well, he could play. But I think his own quote is best, isn't it? He once described his playing as holding a knife between his teeth.
That's completely fair. He's done the same as a manager. I think it's also you look at his. I mean, a lot of the aggression seems to come from his assistant as well, German Burgos.
Yeah, I love him. Mental.
Yeah, nutcase. So those are your two holding mids. So who are the thumbed-in wingers, John?
Well, I'm going to go with the left midfield. I've got three here. I've got two wingers and an attacking mid. Okay. My left midfielder, I went for someone that I despise, but you will love. He is the second best player in the world right now, probably. Cristiano.
That's thumbed in for me because a lot of the stuff that made him I think he's one of my strikers. I've gone possibly for a similar reason. It's very self-centered. It's very kind of, the older he gets, the more he seems to get to, I take the free kicks, I take the penalties.
Yeah.
I take the glory.
And it's the ego I can't stand. And he is a bastard. Based on the Man United years, when he first came in and he was this diving twerp.
The step over and fall over.
Yeah, to becoming the most effective player in the world. But still, it's the ego and the self-centeredness that I can't stand. And I like ego, but too much. But yeah, so Cristiano Ronaldo on the left, a little bit thumbed in, I will admit, because I went with Lovable Rogues. I couldn't pick Harry Kewell because he is the ultimate bastard to me.
I feel that's different,
and I hate him, really hate him. But anyway, on the right midfield, sort of right wing, I've gone with Antonio Cassano.
See, for me, not a bastard, just a nutcase. If we were to do a 1 to 11 of people who were just criminally insane, Antonio Cassano would be there, because that's a man who had all the talent in the world.
Oh, yeah.
When we talked about wasted potential, I don't know why we didn't consider him.
Because there was no injury with him. His was because he liked donuts, and because he'd rather spend his evenings shagging than living the sort of professional life that a footballer sort of needs to live now. And that's one of the reasons why I like him, because he had all the talent in the world. But he couldn't be asked. And I think that's what makes him the bastard to me. Like,
you could do it, but you didn't want to.
How did he leave Milan? Mutual consent. How did he leave Inter Milan?
Mutual consent.
How did he leave Sampdoria?
Mutual consent.
They all got rid of him because they couldn't deal with having Antonio Cassano. And a player who could have been a world beater just never got it together.
Yeah, and Joe, I think that's totally fair. Totally fair.
Yeah, so Cassano. Yeah. Do you know what a casanata is?
No, I don't.
It's a term used at Real Madrid. It means to do a Cassano.
Any man who has a controversy link on the Internet Encyclopedia page for him, I think is fantastic.
Yeah. His
Obviously,
book,
not some of the stuff that's in there about him is not fantastic, but yeah, do you know what? I think you fund him in.
I mean, he could play anywhere across the.
Basically, anywhere from left, right, attacking, mid, up front.
Yeah, and in those early days, was such a wonderful player. He was very good at Parma, but of course, this was in the latter days of Parma, and they couldn't afford to pay him.
He just always got in the way of him. I think for me, he's frustrating. For me, he's not a lovable rogue. He's just he's one of these people, much like Ravel Morrison. You just want to take to one side and stop it.
I think because Ravel Morrison, in his his Premier League history is none, effectively.
He had a very good half a season at West Ham.
Yeah, and then had to be managed out. Cassano played at European Championships. You know, he played in the Champions League. He had a 15-year career. He just, wherever he went, tensions rose. And that's to me why he's a lovable rogue. It's because you wouldn't want him to be on your team effectively, but if he was, you'd probably forgive him a lot more than other players, because on his day he could be a wonderful player. So yeah, that's why he made my team,
and that's fair.
And in the other midfield position,
is your attacking mid.
I've gone with a recent one. I've gone with Rajan Nainggolan.
Do you know what? That's not a bad shout. That is an aggressive player.
Now I think about it, I think Di Canio, but the political beliefs are too much for me. Whereas Nainggolan just doesn't care.
I just think he's one of these people who in life just does whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, like under Wilmots for Belgium, they always had to book him a hotel room with a balcony because they knew he smoked. And you know, he got into trouble recently on Instagram because he put up like an Instagram video of him at New Year smoking and drinking, and you know, he's just a nice. He's sort of a breath of fresh air, in.
For a smoker.
Not really. It's just I don't like smoking, you know, whatever else, but you know, I kind of like a guy who just quite clearly is going to do what he wants, and as well he can play. Yeah, he's a fantastic midfielder, and yeah, I kind of like his attitude.
That's fair.
So yeah,
that's totally fair.
Who you got up front?
The first person I've gone for is for one specific reason. Alan Shearer.
Is it Neil Lennon's face? Yeah.
And the resulting actions from it. The story goes, and obviously this is all alleged, but for me, this is just one reason that just takes you straight there. What did Alan Shearer do, John, to Neil Lennon?
He kicked him quite squarely in the face.
Yes.
And
I mean, the good thing is, if you look it up on YouTube, you get Neil Lennon viciously headbutts Alan Shearer's foot.
Okay, yeah, it's egregious, isn't it? It's, and as well, there's no denying he goes to do it.
Absolutely.
He had a nasty streak in him with Shearer.
Absolutely. It was the idea being that he He threatened to walk out of the World Cup squad for '98 if he were charged with misconduct for kicking a man in the head.
Yeah, I remember that. It reminded me of I can't remember which one it was. It might be the 1970 World Cup. Before the World Cup took place, Pele was involved in some controversy, and it's like, someone's like, what are you going to do with that Pele? And they're like, well, nothing. He's our best player.
Oh.
And it was the same with Shearer. He had us hook, line, and sinker, effectively.
Yeah. For me, there's that. I mean, one of the notable mention here for me is a recent player in the SPL, Alfredo Morelos.
Oh, yeah.
5 red cards last season.
Yeah.
Just a hot-headed player. Just someone who can so easily get wound up.
Yeah. Yeah. He's
also a fantastic talent, a great scorer of goals and a scorer of great goals. Really great player from everything we've seen. And, if this were the late 90s, I'm sure he'd be doing absolutely fantastic at Nottingham Forest now.
Yeah. He can be a really decisive player, but I can understand why Gerrard would lose his rag with him, because you just never know if you're going to get a 5-game streak with him.
You can't rely on him. So that's one. But for me, Shearer is the bastard for kicking a man in the head and then allegedly holding his country to hostage for it.
Apparently, didn't he fell out with Keith Gillespie as well, and got into it's a rumor, alleged rumor, but had a got into an altercation with him.
Mm-hmm.
And
Craig Bellamy, he also had a set to with, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw Match of the Day this week, and they were talking about Craig Bellamy, and they had to ask, what do you think of Craig Bellamy? And you could see him sort of tensed up and went, we had a good relationship whilst we played together. It's like, I don't think Gary meant to ask that one.
Yeah, he's I think for me he qualifies as a bastard. I think also, I was trying to build a team of good playing bastards. And for me, Alan Shearer had an aggressive side to him, but also I think almost because he, and I mean no insult here to Newcastle fans, the Newcastle team of the late 90s was phenomenal. But because he never played for the renowned title-winning team, I know he won the title at Blackburn, all right? I know at that point he was probably one of the best strikers in football. But he didn't play for the great team.
Yeah, he played for a good story, but he didn't. To be great, Henry,
moved to Barcelona Drogba, to win the Champions League.
Drogba, but no, they're great. They won multiple leagues.
Yeah. So for me, I think Shearer sometimes gets underestimated. His Premier League scoring record won't be broken.
Oh no, not at all.
I mean, you can take Harry Kane might get close, but I don't think so.
No, I can see him going as well.
So Alan Shearer was my first one.
Fair enough. I like that because as well. I forgot about his nasty streak. Yeah. So yeah, good one. Who you got next to him?
A man who ended up going to prison for his actions on the field.
I wanted to pick him, but
Big Dunk.
Big Dunk.
A man who sent people tried to broke into his property and tried to relieve him of his possessions, and he put them in hospital.
And they went back.
Yeah, and he did it again.
No, someone else went back, and they did the same again. Didn't he break his arm?
Yeah, he's just, for me, one of these people who
hard, like,
yeah.
But once again, he to me, he's also quite lovable. Like, you saw his interactions with the Everton fans earlier this season, and there's a lot of love and a lot of respect there. And it's I think the players feel that as well. They were much better under him than I can't remember who was there before him. Silva.
Yeah.
Marco Silva. But yeah, no. And what a wonderful player as well. Could be.
He got a 3-month prison sentence.
Yes.
For headbutting a man on the pitch. So I think with this, he's someone who I thought was just a fantastic player. Yeah. Burglary attempt at his homes is on his Wikipedia page.
Yeah, but there is that that stint, isn't there? And
a man two burglars broke into his home. Ferguson confronted them and was able to detain one who spent 3 days in hospital. 2 years later, he caught another burglar in his house. The burglar attacked him, and Ferguson retaliated. The burglar was hospitalised and alleged Ferguson had assaulted him.
Oh, why? As well, 9 red cards in his career. And 8 of those in the Premier League. So he does. He's equal with Vieira and Dunn. But could on his day could be a decisive forward.
Yeah, and him and Shearer have played together, haven't they? So
they did, yeah. In what must be one of the
most disappointing forward lines of all time.
Yeah, but that's fair enough. Once again, mine has a more continental feel, although they have played in England.
Okay. Just before you go into that, you mentioned Di Canio earlier. Di Canio came up in my summation.
Yeah.
But for me, I couldn't put somebody there who was righteous often. He did stupid things like pushing the referee over and possibly being seen and doing a Nazi salute and things like that.
Well, he's a fascist. He's very brazen about it. He believes in fascism.
And the thing that got it for me was the stopping the game mid-game.
There is that for Gerrard. And is it Gerrard? The goalkeeper?
Paul Gerrard, yeah.
And I believe that there's a nice bloke behind this
cretin who got rid of tomato ketchup at Sunderland.
Well, yeah, I mean that's not the most egregious act he's done, but
you told my 4-year-old daughter
that. True, I do know that, but I couldn't put him in just because of the political persuasions. I couldn't find him lovable anymore.
That's why I could, because he did nice things. Duncan Ferguson hospitalised 2 men.
Yeah.
Spent 3 months in prison for what he did on the pitch. Well, sorry, got a 3-month prison sentence, which we all know the UK justice system meant he had to write the person a letter or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's for a man who had the nickname Duncan Disorderly.
Yes.
I'm going to go with him.
Well, the thing is, well, the headbutt. It was his 3rd conviction for assault.
So if you haven't gone for Di Canio, who have you gone for?
I have gone for Luis Suarez.
Yeah, I can go with that
because
he meets both sides of the card in terms of lovable rogue and just aggressive bastard.
Yeah.
When you've been repeatedly called out on biting people.
Yeah. It's such a strange offence. Like, you know, your daughter has grown out of that, but you know, but I'll admit, the handball on the line against Ghana is one of the most
heinous
acts on a football pitch I've seen. Yet, I'm not gonna lie, me and my housemate at the time were laughing our tits off at just
the brass balls of it, man. The brass balls.
And then to stand there and watch it and celebrate when John missed the penalty.
I think the thing it's understanding the circumstance, and obviously people, it's still relatively. It was 10 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was the only African team left
in an African World Cup.
In the African World Cup, trying to get to a stage an African team had never been to before.
Yeah.
Just doing
in the last minute.
Doing what any rational person would never have thought of.
I don't believe there's any thought in it. It's just his natural reaction is to cheat. He dives, he bites, he handballs. He's also one of the top 5 players in the world.
Yeah, just on his day is just phenomenal. So I think that's fair. Yeah.
And I think that's it. That because of the diving, or whatever, there can be the pantomime villain in Suarez.
Yeah.
But not as much as the next guy, Diego Costa, who, if there was a king for pantomime villains,
he's sat on a throne of.
He would have killed him and taken the throne by force.
The man who even choosing which country he plays for makes it difficult and annoying.
Yeah.
Play for Brazil twice, then decide I don't want to play for Brazil anymore.
Yeah, and then goes to lead the forward line for one of the most disappointing Spanish teams ever. Yeah, we saw him firsthand when he was in England for Chelsea, and he was possibly the most perfect Mourinho player that could have ever been. Yeah,
because all the focus on something else, wasn't it? You weren't focusing on if they lost the game. It wasn't because of what they were doing. It was because of that silly Diego Costa and what he did.
It was he was, and he was magnetic. You had to watch him because at some point he was either going to score or he was going to do something that got him sent off. And who was it? Paulista, the Arsenal defender.
Gabriel Paulista.
Basically, in that game, he was such an annoying twerp. He got Paulista sent off because at some point Paulista just had to react to, and it's the underhandedness of it. I'm sure if you fell over, when he picked you up, he'd dig his nails in. Yeah, he spent the second year at Chelsea just agitating for a move away, to the point where they effectively banned him. they basically dropped him by text message, and was like, "Well, I'm only moving to Atletico Madrid." To the point where Atletico Madrid will have to be like, "Well, guess what happened?"
All right then.
Yeah. But yeah, as pantomime villains go, he would be the king of the pantomime villains.
And do you know what? Those two playing together, Costa and Suarez, it would either be magnetic or it would be horrendous. There would be no situation where that would be okay.
Oh, you'd have to have a second or third squad because this team is spending the whole time suspended.
Yeah.
And there are going to be points where you're going to have to, put Cassano on a diet. You're going to have to assume that Costa's agitating for a move to, a petro state for more money.
You're going to have to stop Raja Nainggolan having a fag at half time.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure that Pepe and Lehmann would come to blows.
Pepe and Costa would come to Pepe and Costa, Lehmann and Costa.
Yeah. I'm sure all your midfield would at one point have a fight. But yeah,
there's no way those four could survive in a room together.
No, but that's it. I do like the darker side of the game. I think I like the pantomime villainness of it. There's some players that you've picked that are just bastards.
I think there's a key difference here, and I think we'll try and think of a better way of wording it than arseholes. But there's going to be another ones which is players we don't like.
Yeah.
And these are where you'll see players who you may think in terms of bastards. They would have come in. But for me, the bastards were players who had phenomenal talent, but chose to do stupid things regularly.
Yeah. They were their own worst enemies.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
whereas, I hate Martin Keown, but
yeah,
as
a footballer, I hate Robbie Savage.
Yeah, the thing is, when it comes to that, there's people like those two and Barton, etc. But they are bastards. They are something else. But I'm sure we'll come to another week.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that is it for this week. We'll come up with a new one shortly. But of course, if you're here wanting to take part, we'd love to hear from you. You can do that by emailing us at thesnapuk@outlook.com, or you can do it on Twitter. We are on Twitter at, bear with me, I'll get it right. We are at the 1, the number, 2, the word, 11, number, pod. The 1 to 11 pod.
That wasn't necessarily thought through, was it?
It was done on a whim, yes. But yeah, we'll come back to that another time. Of course, we're also on Facebook, but we're not really on there very often. But yeah, if you want to get in touch and submit a team, please get in touch.
Please do. And see the podcast cat on YouTube.
Hello, Binks. Hello. Yeah, until then, we'll see you soon. But enjoy, stay safe. And
yep, stay alert, save the NHS, save lives.
And yeah, hope you're all right. Black Lives
What do you think?